Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are back with another edition of the Underhive Wars. This is a series of Necromunda Dominion campaign battle reports, and this is battle report number 14. And this one is a shootout scenario that is fought between my two friends, Dark Lord Mac as well as Brother Grimm. My friend Dark Lord Mac is bringing Section 8, his Venators gang, and Brother Grimm is bringing this Pelago-Slam Kings of House Goliath. So this one's going to be an interesting one. Both of these gangs are really anxious of winning on this one. They have both lost a battle report as well as won a victory as well. So both these guys want to do a good old-fashioned shootout scenario to kind of figure out who's going to break the tie between them. And as you could tell from the introduction music that was playing earlier with Return of the Mac by Mark Morrison, my buddy Dark Lord Mac is playing in this one. So whether you guys are watching this value report or if you guys are just listening for background music and background noise as you guys are painting, come with us on this journey as we shoot it out in the Underhive one more time. So with that being said, we're going to play some background music real quick. If you want to see exactly what the gangs are bringing, go ahead and take a pause and take a look at your own leisure. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll. Alright, so the scenario for this one is shootout. For the crews, both crews get D3+1 randomly chosen fighters. Their deployment zones are within 10 inches away from the edge of the battlefield, and the objective is to keep your nerve and not causing the quick draw. Each of the fighters advance forward 3 inches, and as they do so for every turn, they take cool tests. The first gang that fails 6 cool tests starts the quick draw. In the quick draw phase, fighters go in initiative order, adding +1 to their rolls for sidearms and -1 for unwieldy weapons. And once the quick draw is over, it's normal Necromunda rules after that. For the rewards, you earn D6 times 5 credits for each enemy fighter you put out of action. For experience, each fighter earns 1 point of experience who fought, and any fighter who didn't fail a cool check also earns additional experience point. For reputation, both gangs earn +1 reputation for fighting each other for the very first time, and the gang that drew second earns the same amount of reputation points as the difference between their failed cool tests. And that makes up the scenario rules for this one. Alright, so with the scenario rules over, we go to deployment. Over here on the left-hand side is the Pelago-Slam Kings. My friend Brother Grimm only managed to take 3 of his fighters on this one, and he had to randomly select which ones would take place. On the left-hand side, that is Trip the Shrimp, and the center, that is Rager, and the far right-hand side, that is the Headhunter. Trip the Shrimp is armed with a maul as well as a stub gun with dum-dum bullets. Rager's armed with a shotgun with solid and scatter shot as well as a brute cleaver, and of course the Headhunter has a last gun as well as an axe. And of course, all 3 of these guys are equipped with furnace plates. And that makes a deployment for Brother Grimm on the left-hand side. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, we have Section 8. Over there on the right-hand side, that is Mayday. That is the newest of the Venators to be hired for Section 8. She's equipped with mesh armor as well as a last gun. In the middle is the gang's leader, the Saracen, who's armed with a hotshot last pistol, a sword as well as armored undersuit as well as mesh armor. And then right next to him on the very far left-hand side, that is Val the Impaler. He is equipped with a harpoon launcher, bolt pistol, as well as mesh armor. And that makes a deployment for Section 8 on this one. So we're going to play some background music real quick and show you exactly what each of the rounds are looking like. In the back of each of the fighters, you'll see a yellow die representing how many cool tests they lost. And the first game that breaks 6 cool tests will start the quick draw. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll. Alright, so that takes us directly to the shootout, and this is the aftermath after all these gangers have opened up on each other. I believe the very first person to go first was actually Trip the Shrimp. He got to shoot first with his stub gun with Dum Dum bullets. He did manage to hit Mayday and cause a flesh wound, but she made a full recovery, so because of that she's just kind of laying on the ground pinned. At the same time, the Saracen got to go next. He opened up onto Rager, who was right across from him. He wasn't able to wound him, but he did hit him, so because of that, Rager is now pinned. However, when it came between the shooting between Val the Impaler as well as the Headhunter, Val the Impaler used his bolt pistol, so he got a little bit +1 on his initiative test. Not only did he manage to hit the Headhunter, he also managed to put 2 damage on him, so because of that, he got a flesh wound as well as seriously injured, and he's laying on the ground bleeding out. Which is a bad thing for him, because if he gets charged at, all it takes is a rival fighter from Section 8 to put a coup de grace on him, and he's automatically out of action. So with the shootout over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 1, and my friends roll for initiative to see who goes first. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1, and the Pelago-Slam Kings get the initiative on this one. So the first thing that my friend Brother Grimm decides to do is to activate Trip the Shrimp. Trip the Shrimp charges directly forward into Mayday, engaging her in close combat, and the two of them basically throw it down. Now, Trip the Shrimp has a little bit of a better advantage because he's carrying 2 hand weapons, he's carrying a maul as well as a stub gun, and he charged, so he actually gets 3 attack dice rolling against Mayday's 1. And Mayday's only carrying a last gun, and she has no close combat weapons, so she's pretty much fighting barehanded at this point. As you can imagine, Trip the Shrimp had no problem stoving her head in with his maul, so because that he inflicts a grievous injury onto Mayday and takes her out of action, so because that Mayday will need to miss out on the next battle report because she goes directly into recovery. And because he put his enemy out of action on a charge, he gets to do a 3-inch follow through and goes directly into the Saracen, engaging that character into close combat as well. With that being over with, my friend Dark Lord Mag gets to go first. He activates Val the Impaler, who then charges directly into the Headhunter, so because that engages him in close combat, and because the Headhunter is seriously injured, Val the Impaler finishes him off with a coup de grace, putting a grievous injury on him, so because of that, the Headhunter will miss out on his next battle report, and because he's going into recovery at that point. And because he put out his opponent on the charge, he gets to do a 3-inch follow through and then suddenly engages into Rager. Now, since Rager is just pinned, he gets right back onto his feet, and because of that, Rager as well as Val the Impaler will be fighting it out in the next turn. And to make matters worse, when we get to the end phase, not much really happens for the combat between Rager as well as Val the Impaler. Basically, because Rager's carrying a Brute Cleaver, he does get the disarm ability, so when he rolled to his attack, he actually rolled a hit of 6. So because of that, Val the Impaler loses his bolt pistol, so he doesn't have any close combat weapons, so all he can do is punch at him with his fists. Unfortunately for my friend Brother Grimm, though, he wasn't able to cause any injuries onto Val the Impaler with Rager, so because the two of them are still engaged in close combat, the only difference now, of course, is that Val the Impaler is disarmed. And as you can see between them as well, with combat between the Saracen as well as Trip the Shrimp, didn't go very well either. Both those fighters flubbed their rolls, unable to hit or to wound each other, so because of that, they just kind of stand their ground and keep on fighting for the next turn. So with turn number 1 over with, my friends go directly to the top of turn number 2, and they roll for initiative to see who goes first. So we go directly to the top of turn number 2, and the Pelago-Slam Kings get to go next, so because of that, my friend Brother Grimm decides to activate Rager first, and engages in close combat against Val the Impaler. And needless to say, he's swinging a Brute Cleaver against a Venator with no close combat whatsoever, and he puts that guy out of action, inflicting a humiliating injury onto Val the Impaler. So Val the Impaler will go into recovery. He does lose 1 to his leadership as well as to his cool characteristics, and he will also miss on his next battle report because he is out of action. And of course, because he defeated his enemy, Rager does a 3-inch follow through forward, getting ready to gang up on the Saracen with both Trip the Shrimp as well as Rager. However, in the end, combat actually went on the end for the Saracen. The Saracen used his sword in order to parry one of the blows from Trip the Shrimp, and was able to inflict not only a wound on this guy, also put him out of action as well, and also giving an enfeebling injury as well as for his serious injury. So because of that, Trip the Shrimp will go into recovery, and he loses 1 to his toughness as well, dropping him down. I believe the toughness 2 is what he ends up being, because he's just a juvie at this point. So things are not looking really good for both gangs, because now it's just down to 2 members fighting it out. And of course, since the Saracen defeated Trip the Shrimp, he also does a 3-inch follow through as well, engaging both Rager as well as the Saracen into close combat. So both my friends Brother Grimm and the Saracen will need to fight out to see what happens. Now, there is no need for an end phase because neither guy is injured and there's no battling out in this one. They just fight until the very end. So because of that, we go directly to the top of turn number 3, and both my friends roll off for initiative to see who strikes first. And in the end, the Saracen manages to put the turn number 3 on this one. He manages to put the hurting onto Rager. Not only does he take that guy of action, he also puts a humiliating injury onto him as well. So because of that, Rager goes directly into recovery, missing the next battle report, and he loses 1 to his leadership and as well as to his cool. And it's kind of fitting he got a humiliating injury because he was so close to winning, but the Saracen took him out with a well-placed hit with his hotshot laser pistols, would end up hurting him the most. And with that, that takes directly to the end of the game. Section 8 wins the scenario on this one, and we go directly to the post game because this battle report is now officially over. Alright, so we go to the post game now for the Pelago-Slam Kings. For injuries, 3 members of the gangs, all 3 went out of action. Ranger suffered a humiliating injury, so because of that, he will miss out his next battle report because he's in recovery. Loses 1 to his leadership as well as to his cool. The Headhunter suffered a grievous injury, so he goes to recovery as well. And Trip the Shrimp also suffered an enfeebling injury, -1 to his toughness, and he also goes into recovery as well. For their advancements, Trip the Shrimp does level up to level 2, earning +1 to his cool, which will kind of help him out a little bit. And from his territories, my friend Brother Grim managed to recruit a new Jew from his settlement. His name is Stuka, and he also earns 30 credits from his settlement as well. At the merchants, he earned 30 credits from the scenario, and when combined for the 30 credits from his settlement, ends up with a total of 60 creds. He purchased furnace plate for Trip the Shrimp, and also gave him a stub cannon, which was in their gang stash. He also purchased furnace plate, a maul, as well as a stub gun with double bullets for Stuka, their new Juvie that they recruited. And he also took the remaining 30 creds that he had from that scenario, and he puts in his stash in order to save it for later. For his reputation, he earns +1 reputation point from fighting against Section 8 for the very first time, as well as 1 from his settlement. And since he drew second in the quick draw scenario because his gang didn't really break any, lose any of their cool, he earns 3 additional reputation points for the difference between the cool tests for the he failed, as well as Section 8. And that brings their gang's total reputation points to 12. Their new record now is at 1 win as well as 2 losses, and their new gang rating now is at 1,235 points. Now, going on to Section 8, for injuries, Val the Impaler as well as Mayday were both put out of action. Val the Impaler suffered a humiliating injury, losing 1 to his leadership and cool, and he also goes to recovery. Mayday, on the other hand, suffers a grievous injury, and she goes to recovery as well. For advancements, none of the members of Section 8 advanced at this time, and from their territories, from their settlement, they earned 40 creds. Now, for the merchant, the Section 8 earned 60 credits from the scenario. They also earned 40 credits from their settlement, as well as 50 credits from using their reputation in order to generate more income for their gang, earning them a grand total of 150 credits in total. In the end, my friend Dark Lord Max spent all 150 credits hiring a brand new gang champion named AWOL Al. He equipped him with mesh armor as well as a bolt gun with the fast shot skill, so that guy will be able to use shooting as a simple action whenever he decides to shoot. For the reputation, they earned 1 point reputation from the scenario as well as 1 reputation from the settlement, bringing Section 8's grand total to 5 points of reputation. Their new record now is at 1 win as well as 2 losses, and the new gang rating now is at 1,355 points. So that's going to do it for this one, you guys. A nice, short, and sweet little battle report. As always, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also, check us out on Instagram, blogger.com, as well as Facebook for all the latest greatest news about our hobby. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.